Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the BNR Racing Network. Here tonight as we head into race number 2 of the playoffs. Here tonight, Xfinity Series side of things. Alongside of me tonight is Will. Good evening, Will. How are you doing this evening? Whenever he gets situated.
Yes, good evening, Brian. How are you doing as well?
I am doing all right. Well, race number 2 of the playoffs, Will. Charlotte. Another excitement. Another excitement race here tonight. At Charlotte, we've been here before for a race. Always puts on a good show. Tonight we're working with all of our playoff drivers are highlighted on the stream. Unfortunately, Dave Barry is locked in. Let's just see if I can switch that color. But anyway, Will, for those who are tuning in today, you can give your little history about Charlotte if you would.
Well, Charlotte Motor Speedway, best known, I guess you could say, for the Coca-Cola 600 or past handful of years have been races on the Whirlpool configuration, the infield road course layout that goes on to the banks, just like as you would see if you ever seen a sports car race at Daytona. So, by the Superbikes, they also race down there. Anywho's also, I derailed that train. Charlotte Motor Speedway. So, yes, it's been a track on the NASCAR circuit ever since the 60s. So, been a staple there. Used to just be a dirt track here in Concord. There's still a dirt track just on the other side of the property here of the Speedway. So, but pretty famous track. Lights first got put up here in 1992. First All-Star race ran under the lights there. So, Xfinity Series, what's now called the Xfinity Series, formed 1982, so first Xfinity race held here was in 82. But yes, I believe how many we have here this evening? 11. So playoff field, like you say, Brian, underway. Second race last week was Darlington. But Charlotte this evening sets just outside of Charlotte. Concord is where the track sets, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like I said, home of the Coca-Cola 600, World 600. This will be a 250-mile event, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, I do believe so, yeah. 225, I think. But anyway, go over the starting grid real quick, and then we'll kick it back to you. So starting P1 would be Dave Barry. Was showing a lot of speed in practice, Will. So he'll be another one to look out for. Then you got Sammy Archibald. P3 would be Brandon Moore. P4 would be Jackson Lomax. P5 would be Chris Berger. P6 would be Mark Berry. P7 would be Josh Small. P8 will be Philip Bridgman. P9 would be Chris Schaefer. P10 will be Jacob Delgado. P11 will be Jim. And then P12 will be Joe Stite. P13 will be Chris Campbell.
So, like you say, 13 competitors this evening. Playoff race number 2 here at Charlotte. Charlotte, very difficult track. Can be a difficult track for a lot of competitors because, simply put, single lane track, single groove, more or less. You can get the outside lane going but it can take a while, or sometimes that can just never come in, and the middle lane seems to take just as long as the high lane, so it's just better to run the low lane here. We saw in the trucks how hard it was to pass here, or how difficult it can be to pass, but the Xfinity cars a little bit more horsepower. So here is the point standings.
This is the point standings as of coming into this race. So that's what it looks. Very tight, I would say. So gives us something to watch for as the race goes on. So the battle is really between, I would say, top 11.
Well, the top, yes, top 11, but still, Jim still has a good fight. Anything could happen today. Barry, power outage. He could disconnect. So lots of points to be gained if Dave Barry just has a very bad race. That would be great for a lot of these competitors, but still, really close battle that Philip Bridgman, Jacob Carter have. They're tied, it looks like, second in points, but only, I believe that was 11 behind Barry. So, but he's locked into the next round. So, but everybody else behind him, they're going to be clawing, digging, and scratching for all these points that they can get. Pace car about to be off track, going into the confines of pit road for the opening stanza of this race here at Charlotte, BNR Xfinity Series. And Barney the flagman waving the green flag here this evening. So, pretty even Steven start on the initial drop of the green flag. Everybody barreling through 1 and 2, opening lap.
As you see there, Mark Berry already makes contact with that wall as Phillips going to take advantage of it, going into turns 1 and 2. As Bridgman gets a little sideways there, but saves it. Good save by Phillip.
Yeah, I think he just got a bit aero tight and just kind of got probably loose there, so had to back out of the throttle, had to work it there, just fall in line. Long race, let the race come to you. So I would expect at least to see, I was getting reports of like 50, my apologies, 45 to 47 laps, so maybe 40 to 45 laps that we should see on a fuel run, so maybe at least 3 stops.
Which is good, because then the strategy will come out towards the end to where who can save enough and who's going to shortcut to overcome that. So as we come to take lap 4, with that little gopher cam addition there, I'd like to see that as they come by. Dave Barry still out front, being under pressure from Samuel Archibald. As Brandon Moore is passed by Lomax.
Archibald, one of these drivers that could just come in and, I guess you could say, take points or take a race win away from another one of these competitors. Looks like Berger and Schaefer are in that kind of predicament as well. Not in the running to the playoffs here in the Xfinity Series, but still showing up, trying to contend or help their teammate Lomax. It looks like Lomax is in the running, so yes, indeed. So, but yes, a bunch of pressure being applied by Sammy Archibald in the 14. Got to make no mistakes. We've seen Sammy make some mistakes in some of the races he does kind of show up in. Still getting used to iRacing, I would say. Still trying to get the pit road speeding and getting in the pits and everything under control, and just I guess you could say the driving angle on certain tracks. But other than that, he's doing great job. Oh, we got contact further back, Brian, and they all scaped it. Yeah, I saw it late because I was looking at the stream, but it seems that they gathered it up. But Berger and Mark's going to have a little bit of damage, and Berger's got some right front. Oh, that's Schaefer. My apologies. Schaefer got some right front damage, and Jim Coleman's front bumper is all caved in. So that car is going to not handle that well, one would think, for Coleman'sberger.
Well, they're probably getting a little bit more downforce, but I was getting reports that the cars are very tight. So
right.
They're not loose, they're very tight all the way through, is what I gotten. A couple of these guys were dealing with very, very extremely tight cars in traffic. But when they were by themselves, they were doing all right. A little wobbly in the rear end of the vehicles, so I guess we'll see how everything shakes out and see what they can do.
I would say, but still, it's still a lot of substantial damage to the front of that 11 machine. So, but like you say, pretty tight. You would think running pretty tight in the traffic, in the dirty air, in the wake of another car in front. So that's kind of to be expected. Surprisingly, how Archibald being able to keep up with the race leader, Dave Barry, at the moment. Dave Barry looking to do, trying to go one step further than he did Tuesday and win here in the Xfinity Series. He finished runner-up Tuesday, so probably looking for a little bit of Charlotte redemption, one would say. Lomax and Carter looking to reel in the front two. Brandon Moore kind of setting his own pace at the moment. Everybody just kind of getting paced in, I guess you could say, into a rhythm. 150 laps, that's pretty good distance here, so everybody trying to just log those laps, at least until that, what we would suspect be that first green flag cycle of pit stops. Looks like Archibald had a moment.
Oh, yeah. And as you listen on, you can hear the cars when they get closer to them. You can hear their tires squeal, so you know they're chipping away at these tires. So those who are very good at tire saving will work out for them, as in these earlier guys who are just driving, not protecting any set of tires. You would start to see them fade to the back. And those who are saving the tires to about midway, you'll start seeing them move up a little bit closer towards the front.
Yeah, Archibald with some really quick short run speed here, but excuse me, don't know how well that will affect him later on, because he's got some really blistering short run pace, but he could be slowing up or just hindering the speed that Lomax and Carter and Moore could be carrying, because he's kind of fallen off the pace of Barry at the moment. So
yes, sir, but that comes with how hard you charge early on. And we know a lot of these guys are very hard charging early, and then the strategy gets all thrown off. And the more that you race side by side, you're going to start to see the wear and tear of the left side or right side tires. So then that's going to throw another curveball into the mix. So those are a lot of things that we will be keeping an eye on tonight, to see how long that they will do it for. So we'll just have to wait and see. And then also remember, they only got 4 sets of tires here. So
Yeah, if you do have a slew of cautions, you kind of got to be careful when you want to come in and get those tires, like you say, because you only have 4 sets. And like I'm kind of projecting at least 3 pit stops because of the fuel mileage that I was being told. So
We'll just have to keep a close eye on it, though. Definitely. As you start to see here, Will, Lomax starting to fall back as Carter and Brandon Moore start to attack the 96.
yeah, Lomax kind of couldn't get by Archibald, so Carter and Moore kind of getting a bit racy now with him. So Carter saying, okay, well, I'll try to get up there and see if I can get by him, dispose of him. They need to maintain some type of relevancy to Barry if they want to stay within reason or have something for him, because if you fall too far off the pace, it doesn't matter how much you charge in to pit road or how much speed you can kind of gain exiting on the apron if you do it right. Getting back up through the gears. However, even short pitting before he does, like how, it almost doesn't matter as long as you're not there with him. Like if you're 2 seconds away, that's 2 seconds you got to make up somehow, and
exactly, I agree with you.
It's very difficult.
Yes, and you ain't gonna make up all that time at least by getting on pit road, because something happened.
Car slow on the apron.
That will be the 11th machine of Jim Coleman's first.
I don't know if they made contact or not, but Lomax and Moore coming through turn 2 got really close side by side as they're battling for that position now, as Lomax just kind of, as you kind of might have alluded to, just who kind of charged quick, faster than who, I guess you could say, but
oh yeah. As you see there, Brandon Moore gets by Lomax, or trying to, but Lomax...
Yeah, they're still in a tense battle.
Oh yeah. Look at that. Very tight-knit there as Sammy.
Archibald is losing so much time in 3 and 4 that he's just having a bad turn 2, I think. Trying to find some type of speed, figuring out how is the best way to get that speed through 3 and 4, like you saw Berger and Moore basically catching on the exit of turn 4 that power lap. So
as you see here, Dave Barry has a 3-second, almost 3.25 second lead over Carter. Contact made by the 14 and the 47.
Yeah, it's going to send Archibald or Brandon Moore right around. I would not be surprised if we don't see a caution, but caution, no, still green on the lights on the track, so no caution, just, man.
Good save, I would say, but Brandon Moore's we know Brandon Moore is going to remember that.
Oh, most definitely. Looked like a little bit of neck code, but still looks like Archibald kind of driving it in there a bit deeper than Brandon. Brandon kind of backed up that corner entry into 1. But like we talked about just a few moments ago, just trying to learn where to get that speed, and that's just another learning case there by Sammy, I would have to say.
Yes, sir. I would
Because
agree.
maybe if he didn't kind of drive it in there so deep, he probably wouldn't have made contact with him. But still, nevertheless, contact was made.
As you see
That's
there,
really gonna
Archibald in the pits.
be a struggle for Brandon to kind of recover from this, because if they, with the kind of the small field that we have this evening, pretty much 12 competitors. Something happened to Chris Campbell
He
early
ended up
on.
having a water break in his home, so
Oh, that is very
he
inconvenient.
wanted to be here because
Sorry
he
to
knew he
hear,
was in the
Chris.
playoffs. But much love goes out to Chris. Unfortunately,
Yes.
situations like that happen, so it's all right. Come back next week, be strong, and I think you'll just do just fine.
Well, we've kind of had two incidences, one more severe than the other, because a car basically slideways in the track, basically coming to a halt, and that still doesn't bring out a caution. And having almost two sideways earlier, when all that big checkup and log jam was happening further back in the field, that didn't bring out a caution. So I wonder what it takes here this evening to actually get a caution. Maybe some type of Talladega Nights down the back straightaway or something. But
I was gonna say, that could be.
yeah. But at the rate that this race is going here, it's going to be a long, grueling green flag run, unless something more drastic happens. I guess somebody has to try to reach for the water tower or something. But going to be a long, grueling recovery for Brandon. We know he has the speed, the just the capability of being a top 5 runner, even if probably top 3 competitor, because he was in the top 4 battling around Lomax and them. So it's like Lomax has caught back up to Carter, and they're having a get together for second place, it looks like. So Barry still crawling away, Dave Barry, and you got, like we said, Carter and Lomax, then Berger in 4th, then Mark Barry, Chris Schaefer in 6th, Josh Small not too far behind Chris Schaefer, just a few tenths, 7 tenths, 6 tenths, so somewhere around those tenths. And then the recovery driver, Brandon Moore in the 47, who got by Philip Bridgman just a few laps ago. Then Joe Stipe, and then Jim Coleman-Sperger got back out there after, one would think, making a repair to the front of that car. Archibald still yet to get back out, so. But the battle rages on for second place. Lomax probably got a bit too close for that wall for his comfort that time, so.
I'm sorry to hear that, Sam, that the cat jumped on your desk and then you overdrove the car.
Oh man, blaming everything on the kitty cat.
I just saw that too. I'm like, oof. That's all right. Go back out there, get your car fixed, run laps. Never know, you can get a couple of cautions here and there, get you back on that lead lap. Well, as you see here, a green flag pit stop underway for Schaefer and Joe Stipe. Don't know if that is the scheduled distance.
No, that could be scheduled, because just about how, once you're sitting still with the car, you get a different reading from going, actually at actual speed. So it could be scheduled.
Well, next week these boys will head to Sonoma.
Well, that'll be a tough one.
I was going to
Tricky
say
one.
that's going to be very tough. So that'll be another road course that we will look into. We're going to have a lot of off tracks, that's for sure. Definitely. But unfortunately, that's the playoffs that occur to these guys. So, but nonetheless, well, I'm sure these boys will get it underhand and attempt to get it going and accumulate as much points as possible.
Yeah, it's like we talked about earlier. It's all about trying to get the best finish possible, collect those points to carry you further throughout the playoffs, the rounds, elimination style. So,
well, Sam, we hope you have a good night. Unfortunately, your night comes to an end. Like to see you out here more, absolutely, because you're a great mix-up with these boys. And until then, me and Will will see you on the other side. If you're here next week,
yes.
These boys will head to Sonoma's. So I know how well you like road courses. So. But Will, as we see here, Dave Barry with a 6 1/4 lead over Carter. So Dave Barry's in his own zip code doing his own thing. He has nothing to worry about besides setting his own pace.
And that's exactly what he's been doing for the past probably, 30 laps or so. Who knows how long, because of gotta remember, Sam was, back there for a good handful of laps, keeping him honest. So, Joe Stipe getting one of his laps back because of how far he was away from the leader. He kind of fell 2 laps down at the time, so when he made that pit stop.
As we come back here in the packed Will, we got Brandon Moore and Josh Small. I did notice Brandon Moore made a pass on Josh, which might have upset the rear end of Josh's car, so he did lift. So he didn't take him and Brandon out, which is, I would say, good sportsmanship there. So these guys are going to start dealing with a lot of loose conditions now as the track wears in and as the grid starts to come. And now, almost 40 laps in, these cars are going to start slipping away from them. We've seen it in real life, Will. The track, it can be slick along the run. So, and the cooler temps too as well.
And the weight transition of basically not having all of that amount of weight of fuel to carry. Just getting down to just a few laps left of fuel in the fuel tank. And just keep trying to say more F words in your sentences. But that kind of makes that car handle a bit differently than what it was at the beginning of the run, or just different points of the run. It will kind of start to become a little bit loosey on the back of the car, just because of, like we said, all that fuel that's been kind of just drained away from these opening 40 laps being logged. That's a lot of fuel to... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so well, we got Philip Richmond down in the pits and Mark Berry.
Well, depending on when...
Second pit stop too as well, so that's something.
I was going to say, depending on when Barry and the front runners, as far as the top 3 go pit, Bridgman might be 2 laps down, I think.
Yes.
Just because of, go back to when he pitted and everything, so how far he was away. I think he was about 28, 29 seconds off the race lead, so he was in danger just a few more seconds of going a lap down anyway. So, but he can get back out there with these fresh tires, get his lap back, or at least one of them. Then when the leader pits, he might be able to be back on the lead lap. Just this kind of pace that Dave Barry is setting here this evening, pretty blistering pace, one might say, compared to where everybody else is.
So will Lomax and Mark Berry have the fastest pits with 15 seconds even? And once again, that goes back to capitalizing on pit road, getting in at the right speed, hitting your box, and getting out of the box fast. So let's see if anybody could beat them, which I'm not too sure, so we'll find out. But as you see here, I do believe Josh is going to pit. No, he is not. He fooled me again.
He's just running probably a second and a half slower, maybe even 2 seconds slower to the cars with fresh tires that just came out the pits.
Yep.
So,
and as we see here, Will, Dave Barry now makes his pitch. Jacob Carter as well. So we'll keep an eye on their pit stops to see which one of those two can capitalize off. And you see there, Brandon Moore is going to cycle out to be the leader.
well, after Brandon got touched there by Archibald, he was probably saving while still trying to charge back up through the field. I know that may sound a bit confusing, but it can be somewhat possible. So he probably saved just probably just another lap or two more than Dave Barry could, because Dave Barry, like you kind of said, alluded to, was setting his own pace, being the race leader out in front, able to do that, and that looks exactly like Brandon Moore coming down, taking his pit stop. So
along with Josh.
Small, yep.
So they went 45 laps. So we'll see how well this
we should see them to go at least. Their next pit stop should be, I would say, lap 91 if it stays green. Dave Barry should be pitting probably 88, I think. Somewhere in there.
Somewhere. That sounds about right. So about almost 6-second lead over Chris Schaefer. But that also comes with Schaefer's earlier pits with Joe, I believe. Yeah, with Joe. Him and Joe came out a little earlier.
Like I said earlier as well, Brian, looks to be a 3-stop race, as might need a splash towards the end. So, in a way, all about who is going to be on pit road the least amount of time altogether, possibly.
So, well, as we see here, they have a 12-mile-per-hour wind, which increased. It started off with 9. It is now 13-mile-per-hour winds. It is 81 degrees outside. The track temp did spike up 2 degrees, so it's 84. So just keep an eye out on that, as we'll continue to track all of that throughout the race. So we're going to get a little onboard telemetry here for some of these drivers. As Mark Berry moves up to P3 ahead of Jacob Carter. We got 100 laps to go next time by. No, this time. Exactly 100 laps to go. As they tick the laps down and continue to get going there. So if we finish like this, Lomax will gain good points. Jacob Carter, Mark Berry. If we can only get Bridgman to get a little bit more oomph out of that car, I think he would be just fine himself. So
it's going to be kind of difficult the way this may play out, though, Brian. Like I said, I think it's going to be kind of tricky. If some of these competitors, like we saw with the pitting, if they can't make it to a certain lap, then for sure you're going to need to come down for a splash towards the end of this race. One would say in the closing, 18 to 12, 10 laps to go, you would see some drivers coming in to make just a pit for just a couple of gallons of gas, but would take just a can, in the closing laps if he had to come back down. So, which I pretty much think at the way it looks, I'm calculating everything right in my head. It looks to be that elusive, like, kind of 3-stop strategy that you would have to take, because it'd be kind of difficult for it not to be. I 90, so 40. It might be a 2-stopper, but I don't know. It might be cutting it super close. Yes, very close. But Dave Berry back out in the lead after pit stop cycles and everything kind of cycled back out. For the moment, everybody kind of running somewhat kind of where they were before the pit cycle occurred. So Berry has just over a 9-second lead over Jacob Carter. Then Lomax 10 seconds back. Mark Berry in 4th. So then Berger in 5th position. That rounds out the top 5. Then Schaefer, Moore, Bridgman, Small, Colemansberger. That is the top 10. Joe Stipe back in the pits. But that's, I was going to say that could be a bit too early for it to be scheduled, though.
I think so. Because him and Schaefer around the same time.
Yeah. That's only about 20 some odd laps from when he last pit, so just could be struggling. Just, that's okay. That's understandable. So Josh Mall just went a lap down to the race leader of Dave Berry. So 8 cars currently on the lead lap. 2 cars 1 lap down Colemansberger at the time being, because he pitted about 20-something laps into the race to just fix that damage. Probably just too tight and got tired of it pushing up the track probably. And at the time being, he's probably got about 10 or so more laps to run before he pits again. So.
Oh yeah. But like we said before, Dave Berry's in his own little world, doing his thing, relaxing, setting his own pace. I don't think anybody has nothing for Dave. Like I said, he was fastest in practice. He was very consistent compared to everybody
else. Now, Dave can even try to save a couple of laps here, since he does have, that might as well say 9-second lead over Jacob. So he could try to back off and save a little bit. Whatever he can help. Just get to a better number to where he would hopefully wouldn't have to come down towards, the closing laps of this race.
But if Carter's going to capitalize on Berry, he's got to figure out a strategy to take. As we see here, Chris Schaefer is now in the pits. This is his scheduled pit stop, so here taking danger of going two laps down. See there Dave Berry cracking that throttle. So we get a little finesse with the car. Probably doesn't like the outside lane, but when you set your own pace and you get the lanes that you run, that's the lane that you're used to running. So
now, if I could get iRacing and if I could race off the bubble cam, like the roof cam that we see, like we view from Dave Berry sometimes, you know, man, that would be so cool.
that would be, and I would probably feel a lot more comfortable with that camera compared to, we're going to do it anyway, compared to just seeing this.
Yes, I've never been a good sim racer inside a cockpit view like that.
But I'm guessing iRacer wanted to get the most realistic feel.
Oh yes, and the sim. That's exactly how you want it. You know, basically, you know, you need it to look professional-ishly, you know, correct and everything. So I think they did an outstanding job with the interiors and with kind of the way that you have to be inside the cockpit to drive the cars, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Now
the best ones that I think are the open wheel. The open wheel ones are pretty neat.
Whenever you're doing like a hosted race, there is a setting, if I'm not mistaken, where like you can like turn it on and everybody can race from like the far chase cam or like a different camera angle, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the setting's called, but I've seen it.
Probably flex cameras, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But
I don't know, I think that was kind of like this camera right here, I would prefer. Back
indeed.
to the console, because we're so used to it, being on the heat drive side of things and stuff like that.
Well, there was a Need for Speed game that you went and did like circuit racing, and it wasn't really like your typical normal like Need for Speed game where like you get chased by cops. It was actual like, okay, well you beef up this car and it gets put in a certain category and you go race it on a circuit. Anyway, they had that roof camera. The original Grid had that camera angle. There's been so many racing games that I have played, just not NASCAR, but so many different racing games that I just got accustomed to basically the roof camera, like looking down upon my hood. And I tried inside like the cockpit view on some cars and different, I guess you could say, like project cars and other games like that, but I never could quite do it. I always needed that hood view or that roof, predominantly roof view if the game had it, but that's kind of always been my major, if I ever was able to get iRacing, like how extremely difficult would it be, you know, to, like I've seen some iRacers have it to where you're basically viewing like you're sitting almost on the windshield, like you're looking directly out the windshield. You don't see any gauges or like basically your point of view is like right on top of the dash. And I feel like if it was me, I would probably have to do that to get as close to the front of the car as I can.
Yeah. But the also other good thing is when you sit inside the cockpit, you're able to you can shift yourself more forwards to where you're up on the dash, and then or if you prefer to be like back, you can do that too. But then yet again, that does mess with your FOV. So I feel more comfortable and there's an option to where you can remove your steering wheel from inside.
Right.
So you only see just the gear, that bar there that holds the wheel in the shaft, I would say, I guess, whatever you call it.
Exactly, the steering shaft.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people do that too because that's how they feel comfortable. So, well, as we see here, Philip Bridgman fell into the hands of Barry, one lap down, battling it out with Josh Small for that lucky dog if a caution does magically tend to appear. But as this looks, Will, they are so spread out. I do believe this is how it will be. But yet again, we're going to keep a very close eye, Will, on the pit stops to see what they can do and go from there.
Yeah, we're about 10 laps away now from the front riders pitting. Schaefer, he's not came back out of pit road. I was going to say Schaefer.
Go ahead and take a look here. I think he crashed. Yeah, he did.
Schaefer, he was about 15 laps off of what the front runners were as far as that pit cycle he had chosen to take. I'll get the words out correctly in a minute. He was short pitting the other night in the truck race, so he kind of tried it this evening. Oh, he got into turn one and the car turned a bit too good. And back in, got away from him right into turn one and never could save it from that point out. Very unfortunate for Schaefer. He was just trying to have a good race, one would probably say, just unfortunate, never could catch back the car. Sometimes once these race cars get away from you, it is just very hard to wheel them back in, one would say. So, just 50 laps to go.
Oh yeah. They tick these laps down. Great run by these guys, I would say. Couple of slip up earlies, but they collected it, kept it going. With one of them, probably I would have said NASCAR would have thrown the caution for it, but I guess high racing. Barney the flagman couldn't see it, so.
Yeah, the Brandon Moore crash especially, I would still call that a crash. He made impact with a ball.
Yes.
That's a crash.
Well, as we see here, Will Lomax now making his pit stop. If I'm Carter, Will, I am going to try to come in a lap earlier or 2 laps earlier than Barry to try something at least.
Yeah, get some type of short run speed to try to chase down, eat some of that deficit away. At the moment, just 11.5-second lead that Barry has over the rest of the field as far as second place goes, but up to 6th place, 1 lap down because of Lomax pitting. So the next car that was in danger was Brandon Moore, I do believe.
Yes.
So,
as you see here, as he's on the backstretch, pacing himself, but him and John Hall do have that extra couple of laps more than Barry.
Exactly.
So, and as we saw there, Barry was just in the middle of turns 3 and 4. So, Brandon still got a nice little buffer there, I would say.
Yeah, about anywhere between 4 to 5 seconds, I would say, because by the end of the tire fall off, or for right before pits, would assume you're probably running about, like we said, about a second and a half to 2 seconds off. So maybe 32.5 second laps at this point, maybe. So he's got a few seconds in hand before Barry was to get to him. Now, Mark Barry in the pits, he was running 4th place.
I wonder if he's pulling a strategy, short pit his brother so he can get out, at least get that bonus lap. Actually, that bonus point for leading. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this shakes out. So, I see there Philip Bridgman now makes his scheduled pit stop.
Well, with the big gaps that we have in the field this evening, just very hard for anybody to make up any ground, really, under these pit stops. If anything, you might lose a little bit. But,
you see there?
Yeah.
Berger now coming into the pits, making his scheduled pit stop. I think a couple of them are going to try, and I'm going to say try with big letters, to attempt to do it on 2 stops, but I do not see that happening. As you see there, Mark Barry will get by his brother to get, I think, one of his laps back. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's 2. Well, was 2. We should see Small, Lomax, and Barry get back by Dave before he pits, so, or at least not back by, but at least be in front, and then they should get back on the lead lap just barely by the time this next cycle comes through, or is finished, one would say. Not, comes through because it's already in progress of happening, but anywho.
85 of 150 in the books here tonight. All green flag runs, for sure. Which I do believe, we did have that last Saturday, which is ironically enough, at Talladega when you and Chris were in the tower on Saturday. So, you guys will probably get your excitement on Saturday at Dover. Quite a few of us did a couple of practice laps, but with the new update, those next gen cars are very, very slick. Very slick. New tire model since the previous one, since we went there last season. So, you're going to see a lot of probably looseness off the turns, or maybe even going into Saturday. So, that'll be good information going into Saturday that could be helpful to you and Chris. But once again, iRacing, they keep up to date with all their stuff. They get feedback from all the drivers. That's always a plus too for iRacing. They talk to every driver. The biggest one they talk to is obviously Delano Jr. He's been a big mentor to iRacing, so happy for him. Getting a lot of updates done, scanning a lot of new tracks. So in the near future, we will get quite a few updates to a couple of the tracks. And I do believe that in the new season, they are putting out 3 more new tracks.
iRacing always working on tweaking and developing their platform to be up to date and always, I guess you could say, coherent to modern racing, like sim racing standards. So,
well, as we see here, Dave Barry now pitted. as you said, lap 88. So at least you hit that on the money. Hey, if it works, it works. See your burger and Jim Coleman's burger. As Brandon Moore will cycle out to be the leader. Josh Small back on the lead lap for now. There it is. Dave Barry with a 14.9 second pit stop. That is, no, same thing with Carter. So those two do have the fastest pit stops of tonight. And once again, we know that comes with capitalizing, getting on, hitting your box, peeling out, everything perfect. That's where you're going to gain most of your time. So, but unfortunately for Josh, Dave Barry did get out in front of him, so that's probably going to hurt him. So. But we'll see how it shakes out. As you see there, Brandon Moore now in the pits. I do believe Josh Small will be right there behind him. Yes, indeed, he will.
Yeah, but that's still going to hurt Josh, I think, because of where Dave comes out at. He's still 3 seconds behind Dave when he comes out of the pits. And Dave's going to have fresher tires before Josh can go back into the pits.
Yes.
That's, but like, hey, so I predicted David Barry and Brandon and Josh's, both of them, I predicted they would come in at the times at which they did. So, hey, I got that correct this evening. So.
Yes, you did.
Normally, if I predict something, it's normally at least 5 to 6 laps off. So I was actually on the money for a change. I could have been somebody's crew chief tonight.
I was going to say, yeah, you could have. And that's another good feature about this. Anyone you're friends with, you can just click in on their name. You can crew chief them, help them out in the race, and that's always good too, you know. A lot of our guys do that with each other. They help each other out going in official races, and with the knowledge that you have, you would be a fantastic crew chief spotter, so.
Oh, I'd be one great spotter. Come on now.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Especially if you're in like a super speedway league, you would want my, assistance. I guess I would say.
The humor with it as well too, so.
I would love to be a spotter for somebody on iRacing. That'd be great.
We get a lot of them on Saturdays. We get quite a few people that have actual live spotters when they race. So I guess a lot of the drivers feel comfortable better than a program for the drivers to use as a crew chief that can help them count down and call out.
Yeah, because the spotter isn't necessarily always accurate.
No, it's not. And I agree with you. It ain't.
You know, the iRacing spotter, I'm going to say, iRacing spotter could be like 90 to 85% accurate, in that range, somewhere around there, because I have listened to a lot of iRacing spotters through a lot of different people's streams or just different things, and it's more accurate for sure than a console spotter, but like you say, Brian, it is great to have a person there actual, spotting for you. So voice communication and more time than not, more better than the actual, like you say, programmed or don't want to say robot voice, but that's kind of what it is.
Yes, ironically enough, Richard, that's what we were talking about the in-race spotters and crew chiefs. So, ironically enough, that's the topic that me and Will got on. So, well, we're going to do our little crank it up section of the night. Give us a little breather here. Give the fans watching at home the sounds of these Xfinity cars, and we shall return shortly. We just wanted to get all the pit stops in and play, so we're going to let you guys listen to the sounds of these Xfinity cars, and we will return shortly. Alright. As we come back, and I just found out, looking at all the news I heard, they actually released a statement for Bray Wyatt. Very unfortunate. Very sad day for them. And
did they die? Or did they just say
yes, he had a heart attack.
Oh, man.
He was great though, he was, man. It's very, very sad.
36 years young.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the sports of professional wrestling, that does happen. You put your body through all that wear and tear and lack of sleep and traveling and if correct me if I'm wrong, I just do believe he just recently had a baby too as well.
You know, I think you're right.
It's very sad. Yeah, I hate it for them. And it's been very unfortunate for the wrestling business. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, a couple weeks ago was Terry Funk.
Well, just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah.
Was announced that Terry Funk had passed away, yes.
But, well,
So,
let's get back to the action here.
Yep, Carter, 15 and a half seconds away now from Dave Berry. Mark Berry, 27 and almost might as well say 28 seconds away from his brother Dave. And Jackson Lomax, last car on the lead lap in fourth place, 29 seconds off the lead of Dave Berry. So Lomax will be the first car will be the next car to fall into that danger zone of Dave Berry, lapping everybody.
Yeah, as you see there, well, Dave Berry is just a half a turn away from getting to the back of Mr. Lomax there. And you know and I know Lomax is pushing that car to the max to keep away from Dave, but Dave keeps closing that gap in on him, so he's going to try everything to his hardest to stay ahead of him. But with 40 laps to go, well, anything is possible. Possibly one more pit stop for these guys. Several times you might just say, well, I'm going to try to do it all the way to the end.
Well, I don't I don't think we could see that happen. It's just when everybody made their last pit stop, the last pit road taker that was actually, I guess you could say, in contention, if possible, for the win here this evening. Brandon Moore, they pitted lap 91, 92-ish area, so everybody that's still out there, we suspect everybody still owes us a pit stop.
Oh yeah.
Jim Holmansberger, this should be Jim's final pit stop because of how he has kind of spaced them out from one another, but 30 some odd laps to go here.
Oh yeah.
38 laps to go?
Yes, sir. 38 laps to go. Well, by the way, caution free.
Yep.
Another great race, I would assume.
If you would have told me caution free just now, if I would have just now gotten here, I would have been, oh wow, really? No way, get out of here. But from the start, sitting here and watching, the tremendous saves that we did of some of the incidences that we saw, just kind of getting together with your fellow competitors. These cars have fenders and bumpers that contact will happen. It doesn't matter what side of the track or what type of track it is, contact will happen with these guys. And, it's not like it's an open field sport, so if you got fenders, they typically use from time to time, not like they most of the time meet to. Just you will run into your fellow competitor on accident more time than not, and that's what happened earlier. And we saw people get sideways, but they recovered it. And like you say, caution, stand up, stand out job by everybody this evening to be able to keep it on straight and keep turning left here this evening.
Well, I think next week is going to be their challenge.
Yes, they're going to be doing both left and right. Sonoma and Finion Raceway, whatever you prefer to call it. So
So we got quite a few interesting tracks next week, that's for sure, Will. The Truck Series, we have Gateway. That will probably put on a very good race. And then, unfortunately, Sonoma, a lot of braking involved. Hit your marks. I'm sure the cars are going to be extremely loose. But that is, unfortunately, that is a cutoff race. So, Joe Stein hits the wall hard, tremendously, behind the 36. A burger there.
Yeah, he had a bad time before. I don't know if that was quite air push to the exit of turn 4 or not, but he had a bad enough turn 4 to where he ate the wall. Like you say, tremendously hard. Now, Mark, you're going right down to brother Dave, so in that window of 32 and a half seconds, roughly about where these Xfinity cars would be running, coming down to the end of a fuel run or tire run, would say.
Yes, sir.
Maybe even 33 seconds a lap.
As you see there, Josh Small now gonna make his final pit stop of the night. He's gonna try to short-stint it.
Further. We saw him and Moore, be the ones to go further on a tank of fuel, but kind of expected Josh to go further. He chose to short pit the final pit stop of the evening to, like you kind of say, or you were about to say, hopefully gain some set of time and see how that may work for him. With him already being a lap down, I don't really see him gaining any ground today. But he could gain some ground on some of the cars that he was, a lap down with, at least.
Yes. That's unfortunately going to put him 2-3 laps down. So that's a big hurt for Josh. But hey, anything in your mighty to try something, and see there Phillip now making his pit stop. So a lot of these guys are going to try tricks up their sleeves. Mark Berry now coming in, so Berger is going to come in too as well. Lomax. So everybody's trying strategies here. So, well, I guess we'll watch and they close the laps of how well this will go. So,
well, closing in on 25 laps to go, you expect to be happening with about 25 to go. I did not expect 30 to go. I thought they might be able to get to about 25 to go, but
they're going to try to do something. Oh, there you go. Mark Berry, Lomax with a 14.9. So they tied up with Dave Berry and Carter. So
doing something, you could have just stopped on the racetrack, but out of caution. I'm just kidding. I do not approve of that. That was a joke. But that was a joke. So I do not approve of, forcefully bringing out cautions. It's just jokes aside. But yeah, Dave Berry, man, just at this evening to have himself, and before the pit stop sequence, the final pit stop occurred, he only had himself and Jacob Carter on the lead lap, so I don't think it would be the first time but I don't think it'll be the last either that we'll have a race in BNR decided by this type of domination. But
as you see there, Philip Bridgman and Josh Small got by Mr. Dave Barry. So they will fall down 2 laps down. As you see there, will Dave Barry now pits. As we hit 25 laps to go, Will, here tonight. And it's 1.5 miles. Not too sure how much time these boys have to get on Dave Barry. But the problem is, Will, when Dave comes out, he is going to be on the freshest set of tires that there is.
yeah, it looks like, the other pit sequences that have occurred. Dave was normally one of the ones pitting before everybody else. But this time he looks like the last one to pit. Like you say, he's going to have the freshest of the freshy tires. So Jacob Carter might be getting back on the lead lap.
Jacob's just coming at a 4.
Mark Berry, I think, lap. Brandon Moore and Lomax. So, he's got 25 laps to get the heat built up in those fresh tires, and if he wanted to chase those guys back a lap down,
Well, this will be the 3rd race in the row. Dave will win if a caution does not fly.
Oh, wow. Utter domination. Like you say. I hear the Darwin race was a good one. We wasn't there. We weren't able to cover it. So
that day I had no voice at all.
It's perfectly fine. It's okay, Brian. Things happen. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Oh, no, I wanted to be there for that because I know that race was a good one, and unfortunately we missed 2 of them, so... Well, at least for you, she'll be able to cover it on Saturday, so...
Right.
Which is perfect. So, there will be a Darlington race for you guys to cover, so... Which I do believe, which is next week, I think. No, it ain't. In 2 weeks. That's our cutoff race on the Cup side of things. So, that'll be interesting. Anywho, Lomax and Danger Will going back down a lap as Dave Barry timed pit road perfect. So 5 drivers currently will on the lead lap. Carter, Moore, Berry, and Lomax for right now. Because there's Mark right there in front of him. So
yeah, like I said, just a matter of time. You would think before Dave gets back into his rhythm from coming out of pit road and just gets back, into his momentum and chases back down Lomax and his brother, and it looks like Brown might get kind of racy here for 3rd place. I think Brandon, just a possibility, or maybe Brandon could just ride away from him into the sunset more. That already happened here this evening at Charlotte, but
as you see there, Will, Dave goes underneath Lomax, trying to clear Lomax, but just can't quite get it. Maybe setting a little looseness to Dave there, upsetting that nose of that 56 machine, and didn't want to risk wrecking his vehicle and taking out Lomax. So he did the racing etiquette to just back off and going to try it again in the next coming laps here. So as you see here, Will, it dropped in temperature and 1 degree in track. So cooling off. So like I said, we'll keep an eye on it eventually. So a 1 degree track temp, I believe, will not hurt anything. But anyway, so what's going to be your thoughts Saturday night at the Daytona? How do you think that race is going to turn out? I think I might agree with Denny Hamlin. It is going to be...
You mean...
Well, no, I'm talking about real life.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of have to agree with Denny. It has all the... almost all the ingredients for it to be a wreck fest.
Well, I mean, at least you ain't gonna worry about no regrets. As you see here, Will, Dave Barry trying to get by his brother, as these two respect each other, but will probably race each other hard. So, as you see there, Dave gets by Mark, but I do believe Mark will probably, Mark will probably try to apply the pressure to the back of his brother to get his brother to slip a little bit. If he does, that's nothing we have to keep a close eye on. Going to try to break the pull from his brother, but Dave Barry, so much more fresher tires. He's got more of the speed, and not just that, like, oh, have a good 5 lap more fresher tires than his brother and all the other fellow competitors here tonight. As we ever so slightly close in on 10 laps to go in the next couple of handful of laps here, I'm telling you, someone's going to itch their arm, they're going to lose control of their car, and the caution is coming out. I'm telling you. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Where's Cameron whenever we need him? Oh man, I didn't say that. Anywho, 11 laps to go. Dave Barry, Jacob Carter, Brandon Moore. Brandon Moore is the next victim to falling 1 lap down to the Barry, which would only put 2 cars on the lead lap. As you see, Lomax and Barry go side by side here as Lomax clears Mark Barry. Wow, I said Dave. That's my bad. 10 laps to go. Dave closing in on Brandon Moore. Yes, sir, I've been turning my head around and looking at that. Yeah, Pittsburgh's got an outstanding defense doing the work, holding the Atlanta Falcons to 0 points. Excellent teamwork here tonight by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Anyway, 9 laps to go. I did lose my sidekick. Not too sure what happened, but I did lose him, but that's all right. As you see here, Dave Barry looking to put Brandon Moore one back down a lap. If Brandon's nice enough to let him get by, as he will open the bottom up for Dave, as Brandon will continue to ride the outside lane, fight to stay on the lead lap, looking to put Dave Barry in a tight situation there, given the bottom, as Brandon is one hell of a competitor. He is a very great driver in my eyes, just like a lot of these guys are. Couldn't ask for nothing better from these guys, but they fight hard each and every week. They put a show on, just like you see here. Brandon Moore not giving up, trying to slow down Dave Barry. As Brandon Moore said, all right, Dave, go ahead and get it. I ain't burning my stuff up. You're on a couple of laps fresher tires, so 6 laps to go. Can Brandon Moore get to the back of that 56, take the air off of him, throw him off, take advantage of him going into the turns? As we see here, Josh Small rating his peripheral view there of in danger of going another lap down. Jacob Carter 15 seconds behind Dave Barry. But Lomax and Mark Berry, unfortunately, won't have enough to catch Brandon Moore, so 4 laps to go here tonight. Great driving by all these competitors. This should be a 3rd week in a row where they get it done with great racing, respectful driving by most, not by all, by most, and pure dominance by Dave. Next time by will be 2 laps to go. You see there, Josh endangered of going 2 laps down. You see there, 2 laps to go. Next time by will be the white flag. Look at that, we didn't even need Tony tonight. Sorry, Kyle. Final lap as they cross here tonight. Dave Barry with the outstanding run. You see there Kyle in the pits. One last time here tonight at Charlotte as Dave Barry crosses the line as your winner.
And what an utter dominant performance by Dave Barry as well.
I guess that was a congratulations to Dave.
Sorry about
no, you're
the
fine. You're
final
fine.
handful of laps there. My phone decided it wanted to restart, so
That's all right. It is all good.
yeah, technical difficulties awry. Just love it. nice little firework display as well when you take the checkered here at Charlotte.
Yep.
Under the light, so that's nice to see. So I guess this utter dominant performance kind of makes up for the loss Tuesday.
Oh yeah. I would say overall great race.
Oh, I would say pretty good race. Great race for it to go caution free for 150 laps. Like I said, there was probably that one time, most definitely, when Brandon Moore was completely sideways coming back up into the track, and that most certainly probably should have been a caution, but wasn't. But Jacob Carter coming in second, 14, might as well say 15 seconds away from the race leader. And then Brandon Moore coming home, final step of the podium in third position. Jackson Lomax, Mark Berry, Chris Berger, Philip Brisbane, Josh Small, Jim Colmensberger, Joe Stipe. Finishing the race, Chris Schaefer, Samuel Archibald, Chris Campbell not able to finish this evening, but yep, good finish for some of those that needed the points. Brandon Moore able to have a drive back, at least to finish back on the podium after the contact was made between him and Archibald in 1 and 2. So, like we were talking about earlier, just
Pure dominance.
yes, just great stand-up drive by Dave.
All right, we'll go ahead and talk to Brandon Moore. Mr. Brandon, you got a copy?
What's up, buddy?
Well, I would say pretty great race tonight, caution free. Who would have thought? Well,
Yeah.
one should have been a caution when you got a little sideways there with Sammy, but
I got dumped. That wasn't a little sideways
I
with
know.
Sammy. I got dumped.
Yeah.
But hey,
He didn't take you out to dinner first.
yeah. Hey, a podium finish for you to rebound. I would say a hell of a.
Oh, you can't ask for nothing more than that after that
Right,
kind of
exactly.
losing that kind of ground. That's about all I could get.
I'm just gonna ask: was that a aggravated drive the rest of the night, or was that the?
Oh yeah. I was pretty heated.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
I tried to save fuel just to see if it would have been a strategy, and stay out later, and then you just can't save enough gas there. You'd be, over 10 laps, you'd save like a lap by clutching, and you're not saving 10 more laps.
Right, just so difficult.
Yeah,
It is a difficult track to.
I'd have had to start from when I got dumped, and if I'd have started from when I got dumped, then I'd have just lost too much time, and it wouldn't have been worth it.
Exactly. But, I mean, you were still able to pit a couple of laps later than the overall race leader and winner, Dave Barry. So, I mean, you were able to save a little bit, but not, like you say, enough that, like you needed to if you were actually going to commit to that strategy. You guys were really racy early on. Then you guys were trying to get situated. Like you say, I do have to agree with you. You just kind of got dumped there. And
Yeah, I just bided my time. I wasn't even
exactly.
I wasn't even racing. I was letting people go.
So do think for sure if you could have got that caution, if iRacing would have thrown it, that is probably what you would have needed to stay in contention at least keep Dave Barry at reason, right, Brandon?
If it wasn't for getting dumped, I could have been within reasonable position to maybe challenge for it. It seemed like David had a lot better long run car than I did on equal tires, but it would have definitely been a battle for P2 between me and Jacob. I could have probably raced that out with him, but like I said, considering the circumstances of that, should have been just a completely destroyed race car. P3, you can't argue that.
Well, this is some momentum that you could take into next week at Sonoma. What are you kind of looking forward to, and what might be some weaknesses going into Sonoma?
I like Sonoma. I like any kind of road course. I'm just just a fun thing to do in these cars, especially. They're a challenge on the road courses, so just got to keep it on the track. Made good smooth laps. Don't lock up the front tires. You don't want any flat spots there. Don't want to make it any harder to drive than what it already is. And then try to get a top 3 out of it would be optimal.
Exactly. So, got anything else to add about tonight, Brandon, or maybe give some shout outs or anything else, Brandon?
Just the usual. Shout out to everyone who came out to watch the race tonight. All the drivers who came out did a fantastic job, except for one unmentionable. And and then we're gonna carry this on into next week, hopefully.
I mean, you said a lot better than I did, so I'm like, if we had one person here, we would have gotten a caution.
I should have just locked it down and held it. Is what I should have done on
That's funny
when I got.
That's what I was saying. It was, guy, just pull up on the track, stop.
Yeah, I just didn't. I didn't want to bring out a caution if it wasn't going to be a true caution. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be that guy. I just, if I could keep it going halfway and keep the car rolling, I'm going to. But it crossed my mind to lock it down, but I decided not to.
Well, Brandon, hopefully you can carry this momentum forward. Keep rolling through the playoffs here. Sonoma's going to be the elimination race for the first round next week, so hopefully it won't be too much of a challenge. And,
where am I sitting in points? Does anybody know?
I won't know until it updates after this.
Alright, I didn't know if I was on the bubble or not from the races that I missed, so hopefully this will put me in a good position with this podium.
Right on, because you did miss some races because of
moving
and also the computer trouble. I do believe that you were kind of having.
I couldn't get my rig over. Yeah, I couldn't get my rig over, and then before that, I had computer trouble.
As it looks,
hard drive killed itself.
As it looks right now, you're sitting P4, so.
Oh, okay, we're safe. We're sitting good then.
1 point separates you and Jackson.
Okay.
So.
Well,
I feel good about next week then, especially on the road course.
Especially if you're here this weekend, Saturday. Best of luck to you Saturday, and also moving forward next week. Got some tough tracks moving forward next week. So, thanks for talking to us, Brandon, and hopefully you have yourself a good night.
All right, y'all do the same. Thank you.
No problem. Next up, Mr. Carter. Jacob.
Carter.
What's up?
Hey, how you doing? So, pretty long, grueling 150 laps, you would kind of say here this evening because, didn't really get a caution to chase back down David. He kind of kept running away from you every pit cycle. So, how does this kind of race, it's second place, but how does it truly make you feel, Jacob?
We had speed, for sure.
Yes. Good speed.
Yeah, it just wasn't enough. We made a change before he went on track, and I think I should have just left it alone. No, me, but it kind of puts into lessons.
Sometimes those last second changes can get you, just.
Yeah. Thought it was gonna be better on tires, and instead it was a little bit worse on tires. So, and when we come back here next time, I guess I'll leave stuff alone.
Yes, I would. I wouldn't want to change nothing.
Yeah, got into the wall once or twice. Kind of figured out once the sun set. I love night races because once the sun sets, the cars feel so much freer.
Did you see the firework display after the checkered flag?
Yes, I seen it.
Yeah, that was groovy.
I see it every time I go there too. Anyways.
Yeah. Good point. Anywho, yes. Back to this evening's race here. Just like I said, maybe if you just could have had just one caution, you, Brandon, and maybe even Mark could have been in the running for the race win this evening against David, perhaps?
Maybe. One caution would have got me new tires and a fit race car. So, with that
A
being
fixed
said,
race car. Well, what was wrong with it?
well, just fill in the wall.
Oh, I was gonna. You found a wall, eh? Well, that'll happen from time to time. Coming out of 4 or maybe trying to arc it into turn 1 the way, and then slap it into 3, but maybe just bouncing at a turn 2. You never know where you can hit the wall here, just the way the racing line is. But next week is Sonoma, Jacob. How do you think you'll fare next week at Sonoma?
It's okay. I haven't really looked at
Just
this.
okay.
Is it the Sonoma that has you go into infield, or is it the Sonoma you gotta go around?
It's the Sonoma that they ran this year.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's the regular Sonoma that you should be accustomed to, not the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s Sonoma that everybody for some reason seems to hate. I don't know why everybody hates a carousel going onto a drag strip. Like, why does everybody hate that? Anyway.
It upsets the car. It's really bad.
I'll upset you in a minute here. And anyway.
I'm already upset. Anyway, keep going.
But, yeah, Sonoma, what do you think the challenges you and the fellow competitors will face next week, Jacob?
Oh, boy. If we can keep
Yes?
one of the, let me think. What's their name?
Berries?
Not the berries. Not the berries.
Sounder?
Yes, if we can keep the Selner twins off of a freaking road course.
Twins. They're father and son, right?
Yeah. That's why I said the Selners. If we can keep them. If we can keep them.
The twins.
Yeah, the twins. Okay. One's fast on that, one's fast on the road course.
Okay.
Right. Anyways.
Yeah, anyway.
If we can keep them away from this race, I think we have a good chance to win it next week.
Wow, okay, so you think you have the shot to win it next week at Sonoma, so can't wait to see it there. Jacob, got any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add or share for this race? Give some shout-outs.
Just thank y'all for coming out here. Just thank my kids. And thank the sponsors that's on my race car. And I wish I would have bumped Barry out of the way last week. But we're just gonna we're going forward.
Hey.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, Jacob. Hopefully, you can carry this momentum forward on the rest of the way throughout the playoffs here in the Xfinity Series, and just keep up this momentum, man.
All right, I'll try.
Yes, sir.
All
Best of
right.
luck to you. Saturday and all next week.
Saturday's gonna suck. Yes, but yes.
Hi there, Bo.
Yep.
Last but not least, Will, our race winner. If I can find the right one. Boom. Barry.
Hey, Dave.
How are we doing, gentlemen?
Well, doing, I almost want to say I fell asleep just about a little bit there, but I did not. That's just jokes. Dominating performance by you, Dave. Just kind of talk us through it, how you were able to be so consistently good out front and just keep pulling away every pit cycle.
It was just all about trying to get into my typical rhythm. You give me a nice rhythm track, like any track, I guess. If you can get into a nice rhythm and stuff, that's what it's all about. So,
exactly.
Keeping the tires under me, running the fuel out, still just trying to turn down some good laps, and plus, a couple of the guys there, they got into trouble early. So I know, Brandon got shoved back a little bit early. Sam had a little incident early. Jim definitely had a little incident early. So if it wasn't for that, I think it had probably been different, because everybody was still pretty quick.
Yeah, 150 laps here at Charlotte, caution-free, even with the small amount of field that we did have this evening. Still surprisingly, a feat in among in among itself, I would have to say this evening, to go that far, no cautions. There were a couple of moments in the race where you thought, oh my, there should have been something, but there was nothing. But next week, going for 4 in a row, I do believe you won 3 in a row. This I do believe was 3 in a row tonight in the Xfinity Series. So I believe next week you're going for 4 in a row. If you, what do you think your chances are next week at Infineon, David?
I don't give myself a good chance there at all. I have struggled ever since probably 20 years ago when I first seen that track. I have never been able to run that track very well. So, yeah, it's going to be about keeping it on the track and try to get my incident free and try to keep the car under me. I mean, that's the biggest thing at that track. I mean, you could just lose it so quick. I just never have gotten the hang of that place.
Yeah, there's so many off-camber corners where, like, you're getting back to the throttle. It is easy to just kind of kick the car out sideways, kind of not really drifting it, but just kind of sliding it the rest of the way through the corner. But Sonoma, Infineon, however you prefer to call it, Sears Point, it is a tricky course, nevertheless, and one to watch next week for sure. Tonight, Charlotte, just utter domination. Just couldn't kind of believe it as we were watching it happen. Just as far as nobody else being able to kind of in a way just kind of stabilize a gap to you, and but nobody was really able to. So just got anything else you'd like to add, David, or any shout outs before we let you go?
Well, I'd like to, thank everybody for a good, clean race. I mean, from start to finish, it was definitely clean. No yellows. That's very impressive. So, yeah, we had a couple of bumps here and there, but it stayed caution free, and that's the way I like it. So that went right into my wheelhouse. So I can't wait to get to the next track and run these guys again. So thanks to you guys for your broadcast, BNR, and just happy to be here and enjoying the racing with these guys.
Was this also a little bit, before we let you go, was this also a little bit of kind of redemption from Tuesday? That one, I wouldn't say that one kind of slipped away, but that one kind of got away from you a little bit. And this one, man, you were just lock and key from the the drop of the green flag, David.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it up, but yeah, I once I finally got into that rhythm, it's like, okay, as long as we can stay, green,
right,
and I can get into that rhythm and everything, I'm going to hopefully capitalize. But anytime you're running with Jacob and Brandon, Mark and Jackson and all these guys, I mean, you just can't. You can't. You got to watch your stuff, but be fast. I mean, these guys are good. So, it was a fun race, and yes, it was a little bit of a redemption for Tuesday for sure.
Well, David, congratulations. Hopefully you can carry this momentum and these wins forward throughout these playoffs here in the BNR Xfinity Series. And thanks for talking to us, and thanks for being a part of the BNR Xfinity Series as well.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it very much.
Not a problem, sir. Keep that momentum strong and hopefully do fairly well decent at Sonoma. That's going to be a good one for me and Will to have eyes in the sky in the call. There will probably be quite a few slip-ups, but I think we'll all be able to maintain everything. We'll give you guys a little bit more practice time so you guys fully get it before actual you guys race. So we try to help you guys out the best we can with a little bit more practice time because, a lot of these guys really aren't familiar with the Xfinity cars. So the more practice time you guys get, the better you guys will be.
Yeah, I'll take all the practice I can get, especially at that track. So, yeah, I like that.
Yes, sir. Well, best of luck to you next week, and we're looking forward to chit-chat with you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
No problem.
Have a good night.
You too. Well, I would say a fantastic race. Nothing to less. All green flag runs. So, yeah, I mean, I know we kind of did get off low topic a little bit, but that's all right. That's fine to do. Gives other outside of the sports different talks. So, but we still mainly focused on the racing. So that's a plus, which is I'm absolutely fine with anything. But I would say overall, fantastic race. Nobody had nothing for Dave though. That's one thing I can say. Nobody had nothing for Dave. They tried a short pit. It just didn't work for them to capture the winning streak of Barry. So next week is going to be interesting to keep an eye on Barry. Hopefully he can gather something with these Xfinity cars. I hear they're very loose on road courses, so we'll keep our eyes out on that too as well. So, and I'm going to get with, and then I'm going to let you close it out. If you want to give your overall thoughts tonight and then close it out, more power to you. If not, then, just close her out.
Yes, Brian, I have to agree with you there. Pretty good race all in all. Two cars finishing on the lead lap of a long 150 lap green flag race here at Charlotte. That's kind of what happens when no cautions get thrown for really, all in all, one incident that could have had a caution thrown for it, but things progressed and saw multiple pit stops tonight. So I do believe three green flag pit cycles happened. So love to see it. Wish we could have had some more competitors out here, but nevertheless, still a good race. And next week, like we said, we got Gateway in the trucks and Sonoma in the Xfinity Series. So both equally to be a surprising race, either one. So can't wait to look forward to those. But yes, myself, Will Roberts, and Brian Huntley, we would like to thank each and every one of you coming out, supporting, or just watching, spectating your favorite BNR driver competitor this evening. And until then, we would like to say good night